Ever wondered what life looks like for Prince Harry and Meghan now that they have left life at the palace? Moving out was definitely a big change for the couple, but it seemed that there was more at stake than the luxuries of the palace. They needed to live their individual lives without the burden of royal duty, which weighed on them. Ever since the move, they have tried maintaining a low-key lifestyle, barely letting anyone into their personal space. However, we eventually got a look at their new residence in California, and we have curated all you need to know. Sit tight and enjoy the ride. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have always spoken about the need to preserve their privacy, especially after they retired from their palace life in 2020. Stepping out of the palace was a great leap towards reclaiming their private life, and they went to extreme lengths to make sure that their new palace would become their private sanctuary for their growing family. The couple's retreat from palace life was welcomed by an open reorientation in their way of life, one directed to their safety, peace of mind, and ability to bring up their children far removed from the inevitable watchful eye of the media. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex began by staying in Canada before they finally settled in Montecito, California, a quiet and affluent neighborhood with gigantic mansions. Their lavish $14.65 million mansion would soon turn into an ivory tower, providing them with isolation that was not available under the glare of the British royal hierarchy. Even though Montecito is filled with stars, the couple clarified they did not desire a glamorous Hollywood existence, but rather a location where they could raise their kids without the pressures of being royal. The home is stunning, spanning nearly 19,000 square feet, with 9 bedrooms and 16 bathrooms. It has a manicured lawn, tennis court, guest house, and pool, all serving to create that sense of warmth and security. The appearance of the property exudes European aristocracy with a stone archway, vaulted ceiling, and carved wooden details to enhance its appeal. The interior is classy but cozy, a testament to the couple's penchant for beauty. The property further has a wine cellar, a gym, and a library, so that Harry and Meghan live their dream in their homes. For a very long time now, the two did everything in their power to keep their home out of public view. They kept posting personal details about their home to a minimum, and aerial photographs of the property were shared from time to time. Having learned their lesson from the earlier foray with invasive media tactics, the Sussexes paid for enhanced security features like top-notch hedges, gated entrances, and a high-end surveillance system. Meghan and Harry also sued pushy photographers and even threatened to sue publications that attempted to photograph their private homes. Yet despite all of these, people got a good look at how they live when the couple released their Netflix docuseries, Harry and Meghan. The show opened their world to everyone, and much of their lives were captured within the 4 walls of their Montecito mansion. For the first time, fans were able to view their residence, from the spacious but warm living rooms to the peaceful outdoor areas where they gathered as a family. The show covered Harry and Meghan relaxing in a sunny room filled with tons of neutral colors, stunning pieces of wood, and tastefully selected pieces of art that lined the walls. The documentary also introduced their beautiful backyard, where Archie and Lilibet were playing, to further emphasize the reality that their house was not intended to be a lavish one, but a peaceful sanctuary. The kitchen was shown as a fully stocked room with wood cabinetry, state-of-the-art appliances, and a warm dining area that exuded warmth and family memories. Montecito itself has turned out to be the ideal location for Harry and Meghan, providing both of them with the privacy they need and proximity to a neighborhood that will be able to provide them with the type of support they will need. The neighborhood is renowned for having A-list neighbors like Oprah Winfrey and Ellen DeGeneres, who are themselves highly sensitive to the need for discretion and secrecy. This is a time for the couple to have typical nights out, free from the prospect of always being seen or overwhelmed by the press. They are typically spotted going for a stroll in the adjacent hills or sunbathing on the beach with their kids, something that would be very difficult under royal rules. Other than being just a shelter, the mansion has also been a haven for Harry and Meghan emotionally. The home is a fresh start, one where they can forge their own path and raise their children in a place that speaks to what matters most to them. In all of the interviews, they've spoken to the extent to which they appreciate being free to wake up in an environment in which they are safe, free, and no longer burdened by the weight of the expectations that used to be ruling their lives. Meghan herself has outlined the freedom of having a home where her children could have grown up without the weight of royal tradition or encroaching press. For Harry, the Montecito estate has been the freedom that he always desired. Having spent years coping with the limitations of royal protocol, he has come to appreciate being in a position to live a life where he has permission to design things for his family and himself. The home provides him a sense of what is normal as a husband and father, without the shadow of royal protocol hanging on his shoulder. He has not been shy about the struggle he has faced in leaving the past behind, but the house provided him with a setting in which he could embrace the future without reservation. Even though an insight into their personal lives has been attained through the Netflix series, the couple is still highly private. They are fiercely loyal to their family and careful about what they reveal. They shun the kind of publicity glare that has hurt them before. Their Montecito is a carefully built sanctuary where they can live as they choose. While they go about living the new life beyond the palace demands, their home is a cornerstone of their existence. It is a place where they can take their children, establish their careers, and struggle for what they believe in, without sacrificing their personal creed. Though their quest for privacy was briefly sidetracked by the Netflix series, what makes their home an intimate sanctuary remains. Harry and Meghan's residence in Montecito is far more than a home. It's the pinnacle of their dream of autonomy, safety, and a life of their own creation. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's transition from life in the United Kingdom to their residence in Montecito, California, has often been compared, particularly to the homes they have resided in. Before they chose to step back from their royal duties, the couple resided in Frogmore Cottage, a historic residence on the Windsor Castle grounds. Compared to their expansive Montecito estate, Frogmore Cottage carried centuries of British history, having been used by royals and other high-ranking people prior to Harry and Meghan making it their home. The property was a whole different world from their current mansion, not only in size and grandeur, but also in the kind of lifestyle it represented. Frogmore Cottage, located on the Frogmore Estate in Windsor, was built in the early 19th century and has been associated with the British royal family for a long period. The home was gifted to Harry and Meghan by Queen Elizabeth II after their wedding in 2018 as their official residence. Compared to the more prominent palaces in London, Frogmore Cottage was relatively isolated, giving them some privacy without removing them from the royal circle. Although it was not actually a palace, it was significant historically, having been used by various members of the royal family and their acquaintances over the years. The estate was originally constructed during Queen Charlotte's rule and was named because of the presence of a considerable number of frogs that once existed in the area. It was eventually an ideal retreat place for royals who desired a less formal existence compared to life at court. Queen Victoria, it was said, enjoyed Frogmore's surroundings, and there, near this estate, she chose to build the royal mausoleum in which Prince Albert lies buried. The house itself was never a royal main residence but a refuge or guest house for those who wished to be close to Windsor Castle without dwelling in its official zones. One of the most well-known residents at Frogmore Cottage before Harry and Meghan was Abdul Karim, an Indian attendant and trusted friend of Queen Victoria. His stay at Frogmore was also contentious, with the Queen's love for him causing resentment among the royal staff. His presence there was a reminder of the generally complex and multifaceted history of the British monarchy. Before it was converted into a residence for Harry and Meghan, Frogmore Cottage was used as housing for royal staff. When the Duke and Duchess of Sussex moved into Frogmore Cottage, it required widespread refurbishment to prepare it as a suitable family residence. The millions invested in refurbishments had the interior modernized, plumbing and heating redone, and the building reconfigured to accommodate their uses. Despite all the grandeur, Harry and Meghan's residence at Frogmore was short-lived. As tensions grew between the couple and the institution of the monarchy, they found themselves increasingly drawn to the prospect of beginning life elsewhere. Their Montecito home, on the other hand, is the complete opposite of Frogmore Cottage. While the UK residence was full of history and tied to royal customs, their California home is one of modern luxury and freedom. Rather than a house bestowed upon them by the Queen, their Montecito home was one they bought for themselves, which represents their independence from the monarchy and their quest for an independent lifestyle. It gives them infinitely more space, complete with the most extravagant amenities that were never part of Frogmore's modest plans. Their new home remains a statement about their independence. Beyond the physical differences, the atmosphere of the two homes could not be more different. Frogmore Cottage, despite being part of a royal estate, had its own set of restrictions and expectations. Even though it provided some privacy, it was still under tight control, and the couple remained in the sphere of the royal establishment. Their Montecito residence, however, gives them the freedom to live life on their own terms, unencumbered by royal protocol and expectations. The couple's relocation from Frogmore Cottage was not without controversy. When they stepped down as senior royals, there was speculation on whether they still get to retain the house or not. They had initially planned on keeping Frogmore as their UK home, but once they moved to the United States on a full-time basis, they eventually reconsidered, considering the financial burdens of maintaining the home. Even after they departed, Frogmore Cottage remained in the public eye, particularly when King Charles ordered them to be evicted from the house in 2023. The house was then offered to Prince Andrew, adding another drama to the departure of the Sussexes from the royal family. While Frogmore Cottage will forever be a part of their legacy, it is a chapter of their lives that was defined by disharmony, transformation, and eventual relinquishing of the privileges of royal life. Their Montecito home, however, is one that looks to their future, one that is determined by their whims rather than by the constraints of royal tradition. Both houses signify two contrasting phases of their existence, one under the monarchy and the other for the independence they battled for. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's departure from Frogmore Cottage and their privileged life as members of the royal family was a symbolic break from the institution that had governed Harry's life from the moment of his birth. The move to California was the culmination of a couple of years of growing rancor, particularly Harry's, driven by obligations and demands of royal life. Though the couple had initially envisioned that Frogmore Cottage would be their family home, where they would live a life independent of the monarchy, they found that they could not remain in the system. The tensions brewing between Harry and the royal system, particularly with his elder brother Prince William, later came to a head and ejected him from the system. Harry and William's connection had been the most intimate friendship in the royal family. As children, they endured the loss of their mother, taking each other as their only source of strength. They were an invincible team, a bond strengthened by what they shared and the suffocating burden of being crown princes. However, as they grew older and became more established in their roles, cracks began to appear in their relationship. William, destined to be the future king, was always supposed to be traditional and uphold the institution, while Harry, the younger brother, was trying to forge his own path. Their contrast was once again highlighted when Harry met Meghan. It was reported that William resented how rapidly Harry's romance with Meghan got into top gear. That irritated Harry, who resented his brother's suspicion for being inconsiderate and unfeeling. Years later, what had started out as a family bond was broken, and the two men had grown even farther apart. Meghan's marriage into royalty only added to tensions. The media attention she brought with her and feeling unsupported by the royal hierarchy combined to make Harry and Meghan uncomfortable. William and Kate played by the book and obeyed royal protocol, but Harry and Meghan began turning on them, wanting more freedom and independence. All of it finally came to a head in January 2020 when Harry and Meghan announced that they were stepping down from their senior royal position. It wasn't easy, but it was clear that they could no longer remain in the UK. Leaving the country meant giving up not only Frogmore Cottage, but also the privileges and luxuries of working royals. Security, royal perks, and intimate familial relationships that had been the norm of Harry's entire life were eschewed. California was a new start, but one that came with the difficulty of starting from scratch. There were tensions between Harry and his relatives that resulted in physical distance. The Oprah Winfrey interview in 2021 further added pressure on the relationship when Harry and Meghan had an honest conversation with each other, sitting down and discussing all the problems they had endured as a part of the royal family. Accusations of racism, inability to address the issue of Meghan's mental well-being, and generally feeling overshadowed, all combined to inform their decision to quit their royal lives. William was reported to be furious, feeling Harry had betrayed the family by leaving family issues in the press so openly. However, in recent years, there have been signs that Harry and William are trying to mend the dysfunctional relationship. Even though they are still a long way from being the close friends they used to be, there have been times when it appeared they were reconciling. Their reconciliation was brought about by the passing of Queen Elizabeth II in 2022, since the two brothers had to put aside their fight and pay respects to their grandmother. Their joint appearance at the funeral procession, when the two princes took the mourners out of Windsor Castle with their wives, was a show of solidarity that was unusual. This seemed to be the start of the peace, but tensions underlying it persisted. Harry's book, Spare, published in early 2023, only went on to cause more devastation. He wrote about his life in the palace and how deeply rooted the problems he had in the palace were. He openly discussed his strained relationship with William, going as far as detailing a physical altercation between them. Although the book previewed the suffering Harry had endured, it also wedged him away from his family. All of this aside, Harry has attempted to maintain contact with his royal heritage. He has made a few, albeit limited, appearances, including the coronation of King Charles III, though Meghan stayed in California. They have been brief and extremely formal in character, but prove an attempt at keeping the door open for reconciliation in the future. William has been more statesmanlike and interested in his own future kingship than he has been in publicly weighing in on their relationship. Harry and Meghan constructed a life light years away from what they initially experienced in California. They appreciate their life in Montecito, as it represents everything they never enjoyed under the UK exposure, and they've had their hands full accomplishing a great deal of things, such as their Netflix docu-series and podcast by Meghan. They discovered a freedom of living that never existed under the suffocating grip of royal life. Nonetheless, their move wasn't problem-free. Being independent has translated into having to develop new interests, some of which have been controversial, most of this from people who feel they're cashing in on their royal heritage. Though tensions between them and the royal family are still strained, there are distant glimmerings of the potential for reconciliation in the future. Both Harry and William will eventually become used to the current conditions, although their relationship might never be fully restored as it was before. Harry and Meghan's Californian life is their best effort at self-sufficiency and independence, but at the cost of the life they've known. That brings us to the end of the video, and we hope to see you in the next one.